I got you an inverse battle from One Piece. Yeah, we got One Piece one for y'all tonight. And this One Piece inverse battle is Sanji versus King. You know, I like that one. You know, two like tanks, almost. Not like Kaido kind of and Big Mom, but like they're close to their kind of, durability. With Sanji having the German genes and then, King having his Linnarian genes, right? you know, these people are, gonna have a good, showing against one another. And let's just get right into this. We're gonna have one scenario. So it's Wano and Sanji's fighting against King instead of Zoro. That's just the scenario, all right? So with the physical strength, I'm gonna give it to King. Because this man, he's a Linnarian, they're strong, but not just that, the dinosaur helps him gain a little bit extra strength, like physical strength, striking power and lifting power, that type of thing. And Sanji's not, weak, but I give it to King. Now speed, I'm giving that shit to Sanji. Sanji's gonna have the speed on that. Um, now the aerial flight and shit like that, right? I already know that Sanji knows moonwalk, and he ain't like, he's using that shit better than the fucking CP9 operatives, better than CP0. If King's trying to go up into the, sky to like do a nosedive and like strike Sanji, right? He's already up there. He's meeting him up there. He's like, you ain't coming down on me like that, and it stops his like power from being generated, so he could like, really fuck Sanji up. And even if that was the case, Sanji's durable. I give the edge to Sanji here. And that might be crazy to y'all because I know, right, what you know. I know what, King has. He has the ancient zone type. I don't remember what kind of dinosaur that is. Pteranodon, I think. The P silent. So Pteranodon, I think is what it's called. And then he has the Linnarian DNA. So then that's there, right? But then I'm like, Sanji's German genes, that once that shit's activated, it's there forever. You know, he can be asleep, he can get hit, and he's like, damn, like he might just have to restructure his face, and that's it. Whereas King, right, he has the fire on his back. Now, when the flame goes out, and Sanji's not that dumb, he'll be able to figure that out during this fight. And this ain't no easy fight. This one's like really close. That's what I'm telling you. Um, but I give the durability to Sanji slightly too. But if you guys did this video and you had King's durability, I ain't hating on that. Now endurance goes to Sanji. I give it to Sanji. Sanji, you know, he can fight in longer fights. King, he has the ability to as well. With his, Linnarian blood, it's kind of hard for people to figure out how to like actually hurt him. He usually probably beats people, right? But we've seen Sanji time and time again, in fights and where he has to outlast and fight through the pain and other things. So I give it to Sanji. Now intelligence, I'll give it to King. King don't seem like an idiot. I wouldn't say King was an idiot. He's smarter than Queen, or at least we'll say he holds himself in a not foolish way. And Sanji, I wouldn't say he's like known as a smart guy. King, you know, right hand man of Kaido. He's been doing that shit for a while. He has to know, different things, right? He can't be just a fucking idiot either. He wouldn't have done that. Experience goes to King as well. Kaido and him go way back. He was saved as Albert, right? From the experiments. Kaido was like, they're trying to like steal your fucking DNA and do this shit to you, and you're the last one. Come follow me, and we'll start a crew together. And they've been doing that shit for a long time. He was confident that Kaido was gonna win, and that he would beat Zoro. His experience in like fighting battles and other shit. This man had a bounty of like 1 billion. Now Sanji has that, post Wano. But like, I think that King definitely has it. And he's like way old. He's like 40 something, I think. 30, 40, and then Sanji's like what, 19? Oh, 21. So close skills go to Sanji. Sanji's kickboxer. He kind of has to get in close. He doesn't really have any range skills that he can use. Now, range skills obviously go to King. He has the Imperial Dragon Fire attacks and all that, right? At his disposal. Recoup, I'm giving it to Sanji. Slightly to Sanji. All right. Now hacks, I'm giving it to Sanji as well. Lunarian blood of King, right? And then the devil fruit. Sanji's German genetics and his Diablo Jambe are able to bust through that. So like he'll be able to time it right, just like Zoro did, and get through there. And like he'll know when to the flames go out and other things, and that is like part of his thing. But my thing is like his durability is better because it's not one of those things that goes out. Like his flame goes out and then you can strike him, right? But with Sanji, it's not like that. He can keep tanking attacks. He can take hits and keep taking hits, keep taking hits. Now at some point he's gonna feel them or whatever, right? And actually get damaged, but it's gonna take a lot longer for Sanji, right? Environment goes to King though, because he knows about Onigashima and other things, right? He's been there with Kaido for a long time. He knows the layout and shit. Even with that though, the results of this fight is extreme diff in favor of Sanji winning that. I believe if they had to fight, like Zoro could have fought with Yamato on the rooftop once Luffy got sunk, or something like that, or Zoro could have fought with Kid and Law to beat Big Mom, and then Sanji could have fought King and beat King, but extreme diff. He was coming out of that bruised up and exhausted. This fight is like really good too. So I had to make this video for y'all. But that's what I say about Sanji versus King, and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And be cool, Collins Corner.